Yes, it is quite simply put the biggest match of the season. And to help us build up to it, I'm delighted to be joined by our resident football expert, former Welsh player and coach Matt Holland from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Matt, welcome. What an unlikely final we have on our hands. Certainly not the matchup that we would have thought would take place after the semi-final first legs. But two remarkable comebacks later, this is what it all comes down to. Give us a sense of what this match means for both the clubs.
I think, of course, for Liverpool, it cements the next step in their progression as a club. They've already, as we know, won the European Cup in its former format, and also the Champions League in its more new format. But I think what it does is put a huge marker down for them to go on and try to dominate both domestically and continentally. I think for Spurs, it's been an awful long time since they were last in a European final. If I'm right, 1983-84 was the UEFA Cup final, I believe. And, you know, for them also, the investment in the stadium, the belief they've had in the coach, the things that we discussed in previous shows with not a lot of recruitment and balancing the budget and the finances, I think it's a chance for them to do the unthinkable, really. And then it opens up so many more doors for them and scenarios which way they go forward.
Yes, massive game for both clubs, no doubt. But there is that statistic, Matt, that has been pulled up a few times in the last couple of weeks, and that is that Jurgen Klopp has lost 6 consecutive finals, 3 of them in Europe, 2 in the Champions League, 2 with Liverpool. But the difference, perhaps, this time is that while his teams have been underdogs in the past, Liverpool should really consider themselves favourites for this one, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I would certainly say that they're favourites. You know, the level of performance they achieved towards the tail end of the season, and let's be honest, over the course of the season, at least domestically, you know, to beat Barcelona. Everybody who faces Barcelona, they're always the underdog. So when you come through against them, you know, especially when the odds are completely against you, is remarkable. And that probably doesn't even describe that result in itself over the 2 legs. But, you know, for Klopp and the finals that he lost, he's aware of it. He's reminded of it constantly. He says he doesn't read the media, but he obviously does. I think they all do. We all do. It's natural. You can't get away from it, whether you choose to read it yourself or whether somebody screenshots, sends a message to you. You know, it will filter through to your immediate sort of soundboard, if you like. I don't think they'll dwell on it. I probably would think he'd try and turn it into a positive by saying, you know, his luck has to change at some point after losing the 6 finals.
Okay, let's talk about Spurs, and the big question for them and Pochettino, of course, is what do you do with Harry Kane? We've seen the side cope so well in his absence through Son Heung-min and, of course, Lucas Moura, the hat-trick hero from the semi-finals. But now that Kane is fit again, do you bring him straight back into the team for the final? And if you do, who misses out?
I think you'd have to. He's the captain. He's the talisman. When he's fit, he's world class, as we know, on his level. You know, he's somebody that can surely give Virgil van Dijk, you know, a run for his money because he is of that calibre. I'm not sure, you know, who does miss out. Is it unfair for Moura? Yes. Would it be unfair for Sonny, as they call him at Spurs? Yes, I think also. They may even go with the 3 and change the system a little bit. You know, a predicted lineup that I saw was very much a back 4, midfield 3 for Spurs of Wanyama, Eriksen and Sissoko, with Dele Alli just in front and 2 forwards. But I don't know. I don't think Dele Alli has been to you know, his usual self, really, is he, towards the tail end, or what he's capable of. Maybe Dele Alli doesn't play and they go with all 3 of them in a front 3-pronged attack, if you like, pace and power outside and trickery and Kane down the middle. I think it could be an option.
Now, Matt, Liverpool won both the league games between these sides this season. There's also the fact that they've had, 3 weeks to prepare for this one and try and get their tactics spot on. What are some of the key battles on the pitch that you think will go a long way in deciding this match?
I'm looking at the prediction in midfield. I'm looking at Wanyama, possibly if he's okay, depending on how he wins, obviously, because he's coming back. He's a little bit doubtful, isn't he? With, Christian Eriksen and Sissoko. And I think Liverpool's midfield is much better. I think when you have, Vertonghen is possibly doubtful, but listen, these boys will play. They've been doubtful because they were carrying injuries, and obviously recent reports. They're not going to throw all of their eggs into one basket and share with the media. I think Vertonghen will be fine in the back four of Spurs, and we know that the major battles will be at both ends of the pitch in the penalty box. But I think the dictatorship in the game will come from Liverpool's midfield, because personally for me, I think they're better than Spurs in a three. If Wanyama, Eriksen and Sissoko play, we know the pace and power of both Wanyama and Sissoko and their athleticism, without forgetting the technical quality that they have also. But Eriksen is just a little bit light, isn't he, for me? He's a top player technically, but he's just a little bit light physically. If he gets into battles, unless he plays out of them quickly, which he's capable of doing, I think Henderson, Fabinho, for example, and Giorgio Wijnaldum have got a bit more in their locker.
All right, Matt. So that just leaves us with the big question, the prediction. When we spoke after the semi-finals, you fancied Spurs to go all the way. Do you still feel the same way?
I'm going to go with something that I'd like to happen. And I believe that, and I would like Spurs to win this game. I think it's going to be thrilling. I think there's going to be goals and drama also, but I'd like Spurs to come through, and I think they will. I think Liverpool will be very strong, but something tells me Spurs.
And that's the Everton fan in you speaking out, isn't it, Matt? We'll see which way it goes, of course. Thanks for joining us today, and hopefully we get a truly exciting final to finish what has been a spectacular Champions League season.
Hope so.